This is the catalogue for the IBM Cloud, and I'm going to construct my ingest processing using the Node-RED service. So we'll receive the ship positioning information and process that and deposit into a Cloudant database. So provision my Node-RED starter service, which gives me that as a pre-packaged development environment. So I'll give it a name. Data pipeline. CN has to be unique. And if we scroll down, you'll see that it includes a binding to a Cloudant NoSQL database as part of the overall service. It's a freemium model, so click Create and the service will be provisioned for me. It will provision both the Node-RED development environment and the Cloudant database, and they'll be bound together. So once this is done, I can launch the Flow programming environment to assemble my IoT application using the visit app URL. So Node-RED is available in the IBM Cloud and at nodered.org, and is designed for IoT flow programming. So when we launch the editor, you'll see that we have a load of nodes on the left-hand side that allow us to assemble the flow and also bind to other services in the IBM Cloud. So our ship positioning information is published by an MQTT broker. So we take an MQTT input node, give it a name, and enter the topic that we need to subscribe to receive the flow of messages. Then we need to enter the server information for the MQTT broker. You'll need to enter your own here, and that's completed the configuration of that. We'll just test that we are receiving data, and that's all configured correctly, by wiring it to a debug node, and we'll select the whole message so we can see everything flowing through. Connect it up and deploy. And there we are on the debug tab. We see all the messages. Just stop it for now, and then let's just have a look at the message. And there you can see the payload contains the various information around the ship position, lat long, and so on. So next I need to do a little bit of data processing, data wrangling, to get the JSON document for the ship position into a more useful format for later. And essentially I'm going to lift the payload up to the top level. So the way I'm going to do that is click on use a JSON node, which simply converts my JSON document to a JavaScript object, and then in this change node map the payload, each element to the top level. Just move them up. So do it for lat, add one in to do it for long. And obviously you can see the structure from the debug panel from the messages that I've already read in. And you keep doing this for all of the elements of the payload to lift them all up. And then click done once that's all complete. Then we need to convert our JavaScript object back to a JSON document. So it's the same node, JSON node again, wire that up. And then we need to connect that up to our destination, which is going to be Cloudant. So pick the Cloudant node and wire that up as well. Just connected the debug node so we can see the messages as they flow through as well. And in here we need to enter our database. So it's given me the service that was created when I provisioned my Node-RED boilerplate in the first place, but we haven't actually created a particular database, so let's look at how we do that. If we click on the connection back in the dashboard, then I can launch my my Cloudant database. And if we look at the databases, you'll see that I actually have one for Node-RED already created as part of the boilerplate, but I'm going to create my own called ships. So if we come back to my Node-RED flow, I can enter the database name, and clearly the operation is insert is correct, so that's fine. So that's my flow. I haven't written a line of code, and it's now complete. So if we deploy that, let's clear the debug screen first. Then those are my documents, and they're being written both to the debug panel and into the Cloudant database. So within about 5 minutes I've got my ingest flow working. So let's come and look at the Cloudant database and see the records that have been inserted. Just run a straightforward query for one of the JSON documents. Let's just see the content, and you can see my lat long and all the rest of it sitting inside the Cloudant database. So that's all working fine. Now I'm just going to do one more thing. We might want to be able to see the data on a browser page. So let's just wire up a couple of HTTP nodes, a request and response, and a Cloudant node to be able to read from the database, query the database. So we just wire these all together. So you can have two flows within Node-RED. They do obviously operate independently. And the URL will be my Node-RED URL appended with get ships. Use the Cloudant database that's bound to my Node-RED environment, ships to the database again, and we'll have all the documents. There's nothing to do on the HTTP response. And now what I can do is put get ships on the end of my Node-RED URL in a new window once I've deployed it, obviously, and I can now query the ships out of the Cloudant database. And there we are. So ships are still being ingested, and that's now running fine. And in the next step, we'll look at how we're going to use and analyze this data.